Hi everyone, welcome to Once Upon a Political Week. I'm Carly Riley. The date is Thursday, November 20th, 1917, and it's time for a recap of the week. We start with spies who aren't actually spies. This past June, Congress passed the Espionage Act, a law designed to prohibit interference with military operations and recruitment and to prevent support for U.S. enemies, which, given the current World War, basically just means German, prevent support to Germans. Which is hard with German musician Arnold Schoenberg dropping dope piano concertos like it's his job. In practice, however, the Espionage Act has felt more like a blank check for the government to round up anyone they don't like for any reason. Yesterday, soldiers carried out raids in a number of boarding houses, shipyards, and businesses, arresting and detaining tens of German men for being within 100 yards of ports, docks, or waterfronts, a violation of the Espionage Act. Above all, however, soldiers raided saloons. And according to the New York Times, armed soldiers marching into the places where people go to unwind and socialize caused consternation among the saloon patrons. Obviously. Especially given that most of those patrons weren't drunk, meaning they had nothing to make their perception of reality seem way better and funnier than their actual reality, which was that a bunch of men with guns had just come in and demanded proof of everyone's loyalty to the United States. This is because most of the raided saloons, as the Times reported, weren't selling any alcohol, only near beers. Turns out PBR existed in 1917. All patrons were interviewed, and any man who did not convincingly demonstrate his loyalty to the United States was taken to Ellis Island for processing. Most of those men will be sent on to German internment camps down south. Of course, these are times of war and normal protocols shouldn't apply, but this feels like it is probably excessive. So sending our best to all those spies out there who aren't actually spies. And speaking of the government overreacting to things because war makes them feel emasculated and keeping other people down makes them feel big, 41 suffragists were arrested this week while picketing on the White House lawn for a constitutional amendment that would give women the right to vote. Because women can't vote. PBR exists, but women can't help choose Gary as town selectman. Women have been picketing the White House for years over this. But the United States' entrance into the World War has changed the government's calculus on all social protest, deeming any insubordination a direct threat to the war effort. Consequently, women were told that their continued presence on the White House lawn would lead to arrests. Nevertheless, she persisted. So the government has begun making good on their promise. Of the 41 women arrested today, most have been taken to a Virginia workhouse where reports say many have been badly beaten for refusing to wear uniforms. Suffragists have begun calling this atrocity the Night of Terror. Of course, all of this is part of the broader troubling trend of government crackdowns on speech and human rights. America's entrance into the war has created a culture of paranoia that seems to be seeping into every crevice of American life. So far this week, we have over-the-top federal attacks on immigrants and women, and our young men are being dragged overseas to blow each other up. Let's see how the elite American men making these decisions are doing. Well, that about sums things up. And now it's time for History Doesn't Repeat Itself, but it rhymes. We marched up and down the White House lawn, shouting, "Inequality be gone," and they told us all along, you could be arrested. Nevertheless, she persisted. We picketed the polling stations, yelling, "All are created equal in this nation," and they said to just be patient. After all, you have to be realistic. Nevertheless, she persisted. We lived through the Night of Terror, survived its blows and pains and fright, knowing that so long as we could bear it, someday we'd take back the night. And though me too, we all insisted, nevertheless, she persisted. And when the history books are written, they'll say that giving votes to women is younger than a can of Pabst Blue Ribbon. So honestly, screw you guys. That's our week. Check out my Once Upon a Political Time episode, Government Surveillance Epilogue, to learn more about how the Espionage Act continues to be used to silence folks in 2017. Thanks.